It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine, I don't even have it. A fine Saturday, and good morning, Steve.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. Willkommen. Bienvenue. Welcome. We're doing the Saturday matinee today, Steve. We're doing it alone.
Yeah, we are. That's okay.
It is. It's okay. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. We'll be just fine.
I'm confident.
We can handle it.
Yep,
Yes.
I can. I saw a play last night.
All right.
It was a community theater production of what I think is an original musical adaptation of Clue, the board game.
Okay, so they didn't adapt the movie?
No.
They just went straight from the board game and created a musical about it? Okay.
They did, and they were all in on the board game. The set was the board game. I will post a picture in the show notes of the entire set. The set floor and wall was a giant painting of the board.
All right.
And you're introduced to Mr. Body, who comes out and tells you that, audience, you're actually playing the board game. And if you open your booklet, your, what do they call that? Program. Yeah. Spent a career in the theater, Steve.
In the audience or on stage? Because on stage it would make sense. That fancy piece of paper the audience members have.
Is it? They hand out that future recycling. It is. So you open it up and there's a game board or a game card, like a scorecard in there, and they give you all a pen, and then they proceed to sing and dance. Well, they sing and then they sort of dance, and you've got all the major characters, Mr. Body, and they've introduced an investigator, and then they proceed to sing these sequences of backstory about their relationship with Mr. Body. At the end of the first act, spoiler, he dies, but he's still a character. At the beginning of the second act, he says, "I'm dead," and there's this big flourish, and it's hysterical. It was hysterical. It was definitely a community theater production of the film, and I found myself I got along it. I didn't know what was that, after the first couple of numbers, what am I even watching? And then you kind of get on the train, and eventually by the end I was I was moved. I was tickled by Clue the musical. I sure hope it spreads from Beaverton Public Access Theater Company to the rest of the world, because it's a charming way to take on this property, Clue, the board game, the musical.
So if I'm in Portland, I see up there at the Beaverton Civic Theater, it's running until October 13th. All right.
Get on.
There we are.
Get on a train.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You don't want to miss this. And I'm going to say this with all love and respect to the cast. Mr. Green, you've got to learn the words. There's something going on I'm sure there's something going on. I saw a distracted performance from one of the actors, and he just was not trucking with the rest. There's a spectrum, and Miss Scarlett was militantly prepared for this production. Mr. Green showed up, and but the overall arc of quality, it bent toward quite good. I thought it was very funny. And this is coming from a guy who in high school was one of the three principals in The Red Badge of Courage, the musical world premiere at my high school. Oh. That's right. Red Badge of Courage. The musical. So that's all I bring to you today in terms of my my exploration into other arts.
Wow. Okay. See, I had a different theatrical experience this past week.
Tell me.
Because on Sunday I went to see the touring production of Miss Saigon. So,
I love that show.
So I've never seen that show. So a friend had an extra ticket. I was able to go and just had such a great time with that. I remember hearing about it, the original production in the 90s and all that. And it's just one of those where I just was not a big enough theater buff or did not have the cash readily available for theatrical purchases. So I had a great time with that. I did not experience anything comparable to what you did. Your clearly musical. My musical was a little bit better than that. Yeah, but I had a great time. With the big helicopter, huge production numbers.
That's what I was going to ask. How did they do the helicopter? Did they in the touring production? Were they able to do the helicopter justice?
Yes. So they did. There was a whole helicopter, front of a helicopter that came out on I mean, clearly you can't see everything, but they did a nice job of the body and some lighting effects to create the propeller. And it was, they brought it all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That is one of those shows that I saw since I was living in the area. I managed to see that one on Broadway when it was during first run. And I have a strong visceral memory of that show.
Oh, yes.
That and the Phantom. Those are some of the big set pieces, right? The Phantom chandelier that shatters.
Yeah, that's people say, "Oh yeah, I saw this great show. There was a chandelier." Yeah. Well, what else happened? Well, there was some singing and stuff.
Boat.
Yeah,
yeah. I think it was in Venice. Yes. No, and the wall, the Les Mis wall that builds. That was a stunning set piece. Yeah, and of course Spider-Man.
I was thinking about that as I was waiting. I thought, what, this is a huge production. And, what are some of the more recent, big shows I've heard of, other than, of course, Hamilton. And I thought, Spider-Man. Oh, Spider-Man.
Well, and Hamilton, of all of its popularity and, quality is a truly modest Broadway production.
Sure, yes.
I mean, it is not a big, stage.
Did you see what they had the documents? They had the documents.
It was impressive. And then they brought out some crates. And the entire cast was able to dance on tables. It was amazing.
It was just pure spectacle. Yes.
Pure spectacle. What do we have in the news today?
We've got. Well, you want to talk about the big thing this weekend?
Oh, which one are we? Do we want to talk about Scorsese? Just briefly.
Yeah, we can. I think we that because that's been sort of popping up there and the Discord discussion. Had a little.
It has. Did you find yourself? So the story is, as it goes, that Martin Scorsese said that, I don't think these big superhero movies are cinema. And that was, I think, the rub of his, major challenge with these movies, or I would say fans' major challenge. He says, I don't see them. He says, I tried, but that's not cinema. Honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. That's what he said. That's what got people up in arms.
Yeah.
Were you moved? Were you moved to rage?
No, because I saw the headlines and I saw some of the heated exchange and I thought, well, what did he say exactly? And I looked at that and I thought, well, that makes sense. Scorsese likes to make movies that are about the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional and psychological experiences. I don't think Marvel strives for anything near that. They want to entertain people and they do a great job of it. But I guess it comes down to, is it film? Is it cinema? Is it movies? What does that mean? I think they're just two different types of entertainment. One that is more actively engaging with the viewer to get them to think and contemplate things versus just being entertained as a passive viewer. So it didn't surprise me. Of course you poke the bear of, Marvel fandom, you're going to get a reaction, but it's two different worlds. It's the difference between, you read your Jack Reacher novel and you read your Charles Dickens. It's two different types of things.
All right. Now you're poking the dragon. All right.
What?
Enough.
Jack Reacher?
Enough.
You'd say Jack Reacher is fine literature? Is that what you're saying?
Never go back to that, Steve. Never go back. Ever. Look, I guess it's funny because I think I disagree with you on the difference of these movies. I mean, I feel like I could go back to each one of them and find, the elements that Scorsese says are not cinema and feel the human connection. Let's go back to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I mean, I was just wrecked at the end of that movie, and that was the exact same sort of emotional experience that I have with some of the movies that I'm sure Scorsese is thinking of as he's talking about how these are not cinema. I think James Gunn actually said it best, and the thing that makes me so frustrated by Scorsese's comments, in James Gunn's words, Martin Scorsese is one of my 5 favorite living filmmakers. I was outraged when people picketed The Last Temptation of Christ without having seen the film. I'm saddened that he's now judging my films in the same way. That's the problem right there. And the headline of the AV Club post, I think, is brilliant. Quote, nerds somehow gobsmacked that Martin Scorsese doesn't think superhero movies are, quote, cinema. That's William Hughes. I think it's fine to be shocked. It's also come on, Marty. Like, let's be careful of. I'll take a little bit of care with how you approach some of these things because you acknowledge you haven't seen the movies. So
sure, again, because I think that's not what he thinks film is for. So why would he have any experience with it? I mean.
It's a different set of tools.
It's a different set of tools
that filmmakers are using to make films.
Right, and I think it was, just poor choice to start asking him to comment on something. I mean, you might as well ask him like, well, Marty, what do you think of this year, this last season of The Bachelor? I don't think
exactly.
Why would you do that? You wouldn't.
Well, let me tell you.
Yes.
Look, a tomato is not cinema. That's what I think. Yeah. And I talked to Bobby De Niro and he said eggplants aren't cinema either. So we are in agreement.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And so, so we move on.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me any less excited to see The Irishman. And I am sure The Irishman does not equal a superhero film, but it might. Marty would never know.
No, it's true. It's an origin story, right?
It's an origin story. That's right. All right. What's on your list?
Oh, let's see. I guess I'm going to start with this. It's something that's been around for a while. This Jeffrey Katzenberg, other streaming service he started with Meg Whitman called Quibi, which is short for Quick Bites.
Well, see, I've been really stewing over this. Okay. Is it Quibi or is it Quibi?
Quibi, I don't care.
Rhymes with ribeye.
Yeah, it's a poor choice of a name, and they thought
either way, it's not cinema.
And so it's not launching until next year. But what fascinated me with this sort of short take on cinema, it's broken up into, I think, like 10-minute segments. So everything's going to be short. So going back to, I guess, similar to how authors used to release, large stories, episodically in the papers, back in, ye old days. They're doing the same thing here. And one of the things that Spielberg is working on is a streaming series you can only watch at night. So his thought was, I would like to have something that people couldn't watch it until after midnight and only at midnight. And so they're working on an app, building something into the app that would track based on your location. You would only be able to view these things between, it looks like, sunset and sunup. It's an interesting approach to cinema of, I have content, but I want to control the conditions under which you engage with my content. I know a lot of filmmakers aren't happy about the fact that people are going to experience their grand cinematic vision on a phone screen or on the back of a, airplane seat. Spielberg may not be able to control where people are watching it or in what format, but at least when they're watching it.
What do you think of it?
It's one of these that sounds like it could be executed really well, because it's not going to work for JJ. Clearly, he would want to watch this if it's something scary. Noon, windows wide open, maybe out on the front porch. Who knows? If we were to try to tackle something like this, he would be hard pressed to watch it if he had to do it in the dark. I like that aspect. I think it's going to be a challenge to execute. And again, people don't like people like having their freedom and their liberty to watch whatever they want, when they want, how they want. And
freedom and liberty.
Yes,
exactly. You just made this a patriotic argument.
Yes, it is.
Good.
It's in the Constitution, right?
It is in the Constitution. You may watch movies any hour of the day or night, friends.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
I'm not throwing away my shot to watch this when I want to.
I will stand up and watch this at noon, Stephen.
So I don't.
That's a chat. I'll never watch it if this sticks. I just won't. I'll be sound asleep. Like that's what I do, and I want to watch it.
Yes,
I want to watch.
Well, and that's where is it these experimental things that sort of create, demand based on the novelty of it, and then the thing to find out is, does it live up to the expectation, or is it worth that? I don't know. It's Spielberg. He's not one that I think of when I think of scary, spooky things. So that he's writing this himself. He's got a couple episodes. It's going to be called Spielberg's After Dark right now. I don't know that I love that title either. That Spielberg likes to play around.
It sounds like Cinemax is what it is. It's Cinemax.
So
that's what it sounds. You can only watch it at night, and it's called After Dark.
Sure.
Yeah. Introduce me to the sorority house, Stephen.
I guess
it is interesting, and I did, as I'm reading this article at Gizmodo, they actually use the line that I was acting out as I was reading it. Before you roll your eyes at the service. Yeah. Katzenberg and his team have already signed up Guillermo del Toro, Sam Raimi, Doug Lima, Steven Soderbergh, Catherine Hardwicke, Lawrence Fishburne, Antoine Fuqua, Anna Kendrick to make content. And they got $1 billion in funding to boot. So
I think the winners on this side are some of the stars and content creators between Quibi, Apple Plus, Disney Plus. There's a lot of studios that are trying to invest in specific names because they know that's what's going to bring the eyeballs to the screen. You can say, oh, Sam Raimi, created this. You're going to get people showing up. That's, great for the creators. It's almost a flip on the, good old studio model. It's, we've got the money. We're trying to attract the talent rather than we're just going to throw money at projects. We're going to throw money at people.
Let's talk about throwing money at projects and people, can we? And that would be Jason Bourne.
The cinematic universe. The Bourne cinematic universe. Yes.
The Bourne cinematic universe. We've speculated about it. We've had the shivers run up and down our spines about it in the past, and now it looks like it's actually happening.
Yes. October 15th, the Treadstone TV series launches, and there is, of course, speculation that this may lead to another Bourne movie. Now, of course, the TV show, it's called Treadstone. It's in that universe. We're not having Matt Damon there, I'm sure, but it's perhaps, looking at what Marvel did. We've got a cinematic universe, and we're going to create a series in that world and see how that goes. I think they have a lot of opportunity in a TV show with Treadstone. So I'm intrigued and interested because I think it could be exciting to see what approach they take with it. I haven't seen any of the trailers for the show. I know it's coming later this month, but the fact that they may sort of reverse engineer an entry back into the Jason Bourne / Treadstone world on the big screen, I don't know so much about that. I feel like we've gone to that well so many times, it's now dried up.
Do you think you could tell the story of Jason Bourne anymore? Like, over the arc of 5 movies.
There's this guy.
Do you think you could do it?
No, it did. It got complicated. Well, the first 3, the trilogy, I thought the first 3 told a nice story and did it well. And we built, I think, a nice character arc from a guy trying to figure out who he is to learn a lot more about this larger program. That was a nice expansion of the story, but I don't know that I can then track Jason's story after that because we did Jason Bourne on the film board. Yeah. I don't remember anything about that movie. I don't know what the story was. I know it's him against the system. We got to that point and now it's just an ongoing thing. Yeah, I don't know. It lost the personal connection that they had in the first three. And I think that's where the films fall apart. Perhaps by expanding the universe in a TV show, giving us a larger spectrum of characters to be interested in, then perhaps there may be some more stories to tell. But I think we're done with Jason Bourne. I'm interested in what happens in the world of Treadstone a little bit more.
Idris Elba was in that last one, right? Bad guy? Sure he was. He's in everything. It was Idris Elba. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
There is one more thing that you posted that I really am excited about, and that is I haven't seen any sort of trailer from it, but it looks like something that's so up my alley. And that is Ryan Reynolds' new Free Guy.
Yes.
Free Guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was a trailer at New York Comic-Con, so it has not hit the internet yet. People have not seen it. What has been shared is a short video of the cast introducing themselves, and it gives you a little insight into what happens when you have people that just have a great sense of humor and perhaps may have been involved in a project several years ago that neither of them wants to admit to. So we have, of course, the cast introducing themselves. We get to Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi, and they are just thrilled to say, "Hey, it's great to finally get a chance to work with you." And everybody else says, "Well, wait a second, you guys have worked together before."
You did that.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't. So there was no Green Lantern. There was no Green Lantern for them to star in. But you take that comic element and you're applying it to a film, which is basically, I think the best sort of short pitch for it is Wreck-It Ralph within Grand Theft Auto, because Ryan Reynolds plays a bank teller who gets robbed like 17 times a day and then starts to realize, hey, this isn't right, and goes rogue. So it's an origin. It's to be a superhero origin story without the cape and tights and the intellectual property behind it. So if you were living in a video game and could master the system, your powers would be limitless. So yes, looking forward to the fun that they're going to have with this one.
I can't wait for this movie. I cannot wait for it. This is exactly my kind of fun popcorn movie. And, Ryan Reynolds is churning them out.
Yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is.
So link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Go watch that teaser intro of the cast thing. Also because Stranger Things kid's in there. He's great. What's his name? Steve Pinkertville.
Steve from Stranger Things. Yes.
Yeah.
And his magnificent hair. Yes.
Wilkenfurter.
Have you finished season 3?
Pascal. Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
All right. I didn't know.
Steve, ice cream.
Scoops.
Scooper.
Scoops Troop.
Scoops McQueen. Yeah. He's in it, and it's great. I actually really enjoyed season 3. I thought it was a nice return to form. And I enjoyed season 2, but not as much as season 1. So I'm a fan. Can't wait for season 4. Keep them coming.
Yes.
Keep them coming. Okay, let's do those trailers.
Okay.
You posted first.
I did post first. We don't have any Red Band. We don't have any A24 to talk about.
We have none.
So... but I think we're both well into we're getting into 2020 releases now for both of our trailers. So we're at that point. Andy seems surprised that we were hitting trailers for 2020. I don't know if that he has forgotten that we are now in the month of October, or if he just is surprised that we're picking something that isn't coming out for Oscar season. I don't know.
Skip it. I've moved on.
Okay.
I've moved on. It's a first world like exercise in privilege and fancy dresses. I'm done with the Oscars.
All right. So
moving on.
My trailer is the story of a very British drug lord trying to sell off his highly profitable empire to a dynasty of Oklahoma billionaires. That's what IMDb says this film is. I
hadn't read that. That's so perfect.
Because I guess then when you watch the show, you go, "Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I see that." This is Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Colin Farrell, Jeremy Strong, Hugh Grant.
Could you tell it was Hugh Grant when you watched it?
I had a strong sense that I thought this looks like it might be a Hugh Grant. I can't tell because he's getting old, I guess. But he's, usually you don't cast Hugh Grant as a British drug lord, but that's who he is. And Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, hitting theaters. Oh, Pete, it's January 24th, 2020. I don't know. I love me a Guy Ritchie. I feel like this type of story is right in his comfort zone. These are the films he started his career on. This is what he's known for. I think the cast looks like they're having a great time with this. It's got
amazing cast.
Everything that I want out of a Guy Ritchie film, and it's in January. So I don't know if we're trying to again reclaim January to make it the new February. I don't know. But okay. I will show up for this one.
Is February what we want to make it be? Yeah, no, I'm absolutely in this one. This was, well, first of all, Dynasty of Oklahoma Billionaires. It's like it was written for me. I've been a fan of Guy Ritchie's other stuff in a big way. And the trailer alone has enough action and fun one-liners. And it looks like sort of a empty calorie ride, and I'm in it for that. That's enough for me.
All right.
Like, we'll see.
Yes, we will.
But I'm excited about it. That cast: Charlie Hunnam and Jeremy Strong and Colin Farrell, and like Colin Farrell and Hugh Grant and Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Hunnam. Like, what what does it take to get those guys in a movie together?
Yeah.
Like, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Sure. And of course, Matthew McConaughey is still resonant from his starring role in Between Two Ferns, the movie, which he has asked the grueling question, I notice you are wearing a shirt. Are you okay? Well played. Yes. So 24th. Okay, yeah. Expect it. I'm relieved to see on IMDb that it actually says post-production expected January 24th, as if that's what they're shooting for, but maybe they'll be late.
Yeah.
I hope they're late. Here's hoping for late. All right, my trailer. Steve, did you see Death of Stalin?
I have not seen Death of Stalin. It's one of those I know. And In the Loop also. Those,
in the Loop.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I know. It's the British political, I don't want to say satire, but dark comedy. I don't know. Yeah, I got to just do a double feature one day.
Armando Iannucci is a legend, and if you haven't watched any of Veep too, that's another one that he's show creator of that show, and it really has his stamp all over it. I'm not a completionist of Veep. I haven't finished the show, but what I have watched of it, the first couple of seasons, I deeply enjoyed. But Death of Stalin was one that I hold very close to my heart, and that's why I am excited to see the personal history of David Copperfield. It stars Gwendolyn Christie, Ben Whishaw, but is David Copperfield, the great Dev Patel. Hugh Laurie is in it as well. Tilda Swinton, Sophie McShera. Benedict Wong is in it. It's great. Peter Capaldi is in it. Man, he's a surly guy. It looks like an absolutely incredible cast doing to David Copperfield what they did to Stalin in The Death of Stalin, and I think it's just a fantastic, weird mashup of ideas. Not too many people have seen it so far. 191, give it a 6.2, just barely cresting the IMDb 6-star rule. I'm okay with that. I will. The trailer had me cackling. So this one, I'm going to call this one a win too. Unfortunately, with your reluctance for January movies, this one also hits the UK January 10th, 2020. I have no US release dates for this movie right now. Just UK January 10th in wide release. Portugal gets it December 5th. Portugal.
Okay.
They're hungry for movies.
All right, we're going to go
watch Endgame again, Portugal. It's got to be still out.
So we need to
what'd you think?
We got to take a trip across the ocean. We got to go visit Stephen Smart.
That's right.
Sit down with him and watch this in
and we're going to take him and go to Portugal.
Okay.
What'd you think?
I didn't know what to make of this because I'm not a rabid fan of Charles Dickens' work. I've not read David Copperfield. I don't feel any driving urge to pick it up now, but I love when classic literature is revisited, perhaps slightly reinvented, is it gives us a chance to sort of either laugh or perhaps even mock, older social structures. This looks hilarious. I love films like this. Looks like, period piece costume drama. Oh, it's going to be so stuffy. And it's just like everybody's having such a great time with it. So yes, this is my kind of film.
let me say this. I was assigned David Copperfield in high school. And I read it like I read so many books in high school, where I read a page and then I accidentally flipped 10 or 15 pages and then read another page. It's quite possible David Copperfield battled a whale.
Yeah.
Even so, I'm looking forward to Armando Iannucci straightening this out for me and telling me the true story of David Copperfield. This is fantastic. Yeah. I had something else to say on that bit. I forgot it. We should, that's great. So January 10th, if you're in the UK, and everybody else, commence holding your breath immediately.
Yes.
Shall we do
we shall.
the list?
Oh, the list. What are we?
What were we thinking? This is
because you're doing your Cronenberg thing now, right?
We're doing the Cronenberg. Yeah. So I think this was about Shivers.
Yes.
Which takes place in one big facility, one big monolithic apartment complex called the Starliner. And so we thought, let's do movies that take place in one location, which is a little bit disingenuous because they are, they do go into different, like, this isn't like a one room thing. This is just a single apartment building. They don't leave until the very end and then they get out. So there you go.
Well,
single location.
Spoiler alert. They leave the building. Okay. Well, then it doesn't take place in one location now, does it? Okay.
Okay, that's fair. Also a car.
Okay. Movies that take place in one location and a car. And I've got one of those.
You got one of those. I look forward to hearing what you got. What do you got you go first, right? You were the first trailer.
First trailer. So this is what I didn't have to do. I didn't have to do let's search online to see what falls into this category, because I can only think of one or two. I came up with a healthy list. Thankful Andy isn't here, because I think there would have been some steals. So I
what do you say? I'm chopped liver now. That's great.
No. I know.
No, whatever.
No. There's a couple that I believe you're probably going to be steals here. So I can work around, but I decided to set myself my own rule, and I'll let you see if you can figure it out by the time we've finished the list. So
the game is afoot.
The game is afoot. So I got some favorites on here, but this is one that yes, I will start with. I just watched it again recently the other night. Hadn't seen it in a very long time. It's still a little rough towards the middle, but the end just becomes bonkers fun. In Clue. Pete, I'm stealing Clue. You did your Clue in the theater. I did my Clue on the big screen with Tim Curry, with an amazing cast. And of course, there are a few scenes that take place out on the road, but the majority of it, boom, right there in Mr. Body's mansion as chaos ensues. And as we learn, communism was a red herring.
That's a great pick, and I'll tell you, it was not a steal, and I think it's not a steal because I just saw it as in the board game, the musical form, and that may have been enough for me. But it is a great choice, and I have one of similar ilk on my list. So I would like to start with. I almost want you to say what I'm starting with, because I'm sure you know what I'm starting with. It is the fantastic 1998. Drama, mystery, sci-fi, classic.
Oh, you're going with your Woody Allen pick. Okay, yeah, I get that.
That's right, Cube.
Yes, okay. Yes, I knew that was going to be there. Yes, I did.
I don't know. This is, for somebody who doesn't really truck in horror as much, that is definitely, this one is definitely very high on my list, and that's clearly changing. I'm learning And this one, from the first time I saw it, it was one of those it was a Saturday matinee, Steve, on the Sci-Fi Channel, I'm sure, before it was Syfy. And I watched the heck out of this movie every time it was on rotation. I just loved it. Nicole DeBoer, I might have had a little crush on Nicole DeBoer at the time, so we'll see. Anyway, Vincenzo Natali, nice work with Cube. Slice off some more feet.
Yes, let's just slice off some more feet. Okay. No, I knew I had that. I was like, well, I'll put that there. If Pete doesn't start with that, then I'll just take it, because I'm going to assume he's somehow forgotten one of his favorite films. So I'm staying sort of discovered it on TV. I don't think I rented this one. I think it may have been something like, again, perhaps on the Sci-Fi Channel, something like that. This is the story of 8 candidates for a highly desirable corporate job that get locked together in an exam room and given a final test with just one question. This is 2009's Exam, which is one of these. Truly takes place in one location. I've got a small cast. I've got one room. What can I do? I can change lighting. I can do some things, but it's all about sort of that ticking. We've got a ticking clock, and they've got to first figure out what the exam question is before they can even come up with an answer. And of course, the body count increases when there can be only one left to take the job at the end.
I haven't seen it.
No, I think it's going to be right up your alley. It's Cube, but with guys in ties.
Oh, that sounds like exactly the thing I need to see. Cube, but guys in ties.
Yes.
Excellent.
The musical.
Excellent.
Yes.
The young future 1% offing each other.
Yes.
That's great.
Exactly.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. All right. My next one, I was super torn. I'm super torn. There are too many movies on this list, as I'm sure you ran into. I'm going to go with another one that I'm pretty sure this is one location.
Okay.
But it's difficult for me to remember because, one, it's been a long time since I've seen it. And two, it's based on a play.
Okay.
And so the play was one location.
Sure.
It is 1982's Sidney Lumet adaptation of Death Trap.
Yes.
Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, Diane Cannon. I adore this movie. Broadway playwright puts murder in his plan to take credit for a student's play. This is just my sense memory of this movie is so strong. It's just a terrific chance to watch 3 incredibly talented performers in this film. It is subdued, and yet the final act is just a roller coaster. So that's it. 1982 Death Trap. Is it a steal?
No, it's a backup. It's on the if there had been a steal, I was going to move this one up. I was trying to determine if I had used this on a list before, because I thought, I think I've used this, but I
feel like you have.
I couldn't find it in my notes of where I've done that, because I thought I had shared the story of going to see this in the theater. I was 11. I think the family went because it's rated PG. So mom and dad so my brother would have been 8. I was 11. And great little horror, suspense, closed door, murder mystery with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve kissing each other, which was all kinds of confusing to me. Why is Superman kissing that man? Just one of those odd moments of nobody said anything, but what was that?
The unwoke 80s.
Yes.
I love it.
But love this. I think there's one part at the very end there may be something right up front, but I know at the end, clearly we're in a different location, but good 99% of this all takes place. And it's such a great, tight thriller. Just works so well. Excellent.
Awesome.
Pick. Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And you. This is your number one. This is a big one.
Right.
Make it count.
Yeah, I will. And it's one that I know you will probably never, ever, ever, ever watch. I think you've even said so. Gonna connect back to, someone we talked about a little while ago, Ryan Reynolds in 2010's Buried.
Oh, jeez.
So Ryan Reynolds plays Paul, a U.S. truck driver working in Iraq, and he wakes to find he is buried alive inside a coffin. And that's where we spend a good 95 minutes with Paul and his phone. And voices of others, but we never really leave that location. This was what I caught on Netflix probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and just thought, wow, why is no one casting Ryan Reynolds and other things? I mean, this is, great performance out of him. It's the movie is just Ryan in the box, and it's compelling and it works. And I know you will never ever see this, will you?
No, I won't. I can't even. I can't.
Claustrophobia gets to you, right?
Oh God, that's a major anxiety for me, legit. And I just, I'm sitting here building links for the show notes as we say their movies, and I just went up and the poster shows up, and it tightens my chest in the most uncomfortable way. Like that's the worst.
You're welcome.
It was that and the Tarantino directed two-parter of CSI, where one of the CSIs gets. Oh God.
Good morning.
My last one. This final one is a tough pick. I was very tempted to go for a classic. I know that we've talked about before, and I can't remember if we've talked about this other one before. So I'm going to go with it. And it takes place in one space. It's gratuitous shooting.
Okay.
But I had a great time watching Captain Marvel just go to town on Army Hammer and crew in 2016's Ben Wheatley film Free Fire. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think there were many of the critics of the film just felt like it was a kind of a one-trick pony, and I just saw much more in it. I really enjoyed watching how they use the space, and certainly how they use the effects and the guns, and I thought it was great. Great comedy. I had a great time.
JJ and I did a trailer rewind on that one, so
that's right. That's right. So this is actually a reverse trailer pick.
It's come full circle. It got picked as a trailer. We did a show on it, and now it's on a list. There we go. Yes, that was a strong contender, but I had my rule for my three films, and it didn't.
Okay,
quite.
Now wait a minute. So your rule was Clue, Exam, and Buried, and Free Fire, of course, has. If it had just been Fire, maybe that would have fit.
So not just single locations, single word titles,
single words.
Yes,
yeah, excellent.
Because I also had like Rear Window, Arsenic, and Old Lace as some backups in there. Again, stuff that's, like Arsenic and Old Lace being adapted from a stage production. Rear Window, we're sort of there with Jimmy Stewart. But yeah, I had to keep.
But you could have done Rope.
I did think about that, but that was on my Andy's probably going to steal because he did his whole Hitchcock series. So yeah, I
had 12 Angry Men was the classic that I was going to be going with. Henry Fonda. I also had Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, originally released as 10 Little Indians.
Okay, yes.
Super controversial, takes place over the weekend. And, I don't know. I had stronger memories of it. I never read it or anything. I just, I think what we've learned from our Agatha Christie experience was she was kind of an old racist.
Yes. Yes,
it's not as good as we thought. So I'd want to watch that again before I put it on any sort of canonize it on a list.
Right. Well, and I think with this list, I'm trying to point people to some smaller films that they may not have heard of, or in the case of Clue, have long since forgotten. That Tim Curry looked like an extremely young man, and I realized, this was just
a boy,
1985. But just the comedy holds up so well on that one. So yes. Go rediscover Clue, and then get Exam, get Buried, and spend some time in a genre that of fear and loathing there. Or anxiety, if you're
perfect.
Pete. Yes.
No, I will not do that. Thanks, Steve. I will not. This week we are jumping into the second in our Cronenberg series with 1977's Rabid. A young woman develops a taste for human blood after undergoing experimental plastic surgery, and her victims turn into rabid, bloodthirsty zombies who proceed to infect others, which turns into a citywide epidemic. That's the whole thing. Thanks, IMDb. Now, this movie is noted for a couple of things. First, as you will hear us discuss a lot, the underarm penile projection that proboscis, the underarm penile proboscis that she develops as a result of her plastic surgery. That's a legit thing. And we should all be scared of that. In fact, we should start a foundation to do research into this dark corner of human transformation. So weird blood-sucking thing. That's what this movie is sort of known for. The other thing it's known for is the fact that its principal young woman developing the taste of human blood is Marilyn Chambers, who was a pornographic actress, starred in Behind the Green Door, and they cast her because they thought it would be a nice way to help her out. And boy, did they leverage her experience. But I'll tell you what, spoiler, she does a great job in this movie. And so there you go. There are a couple of things that stand out about this movie. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. A lot of the early
Cronenberg trouble.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at my plot keywords, and so erotic 70s, breast, scantily clad female, wet t-shirt, groping. You pervs.
Yeah.
Or the pervs. I mean, not you guys. Whoever's putting these in, we've got all kinds of things. Then I can finally get down to, surgery, blood, ambulances. Yes.
Great plastic surgery movies.
There you go. Really? Okay.
I don't know. It's not. It's not one of those.
Okay, but so it's treading
I do
in
think there is
familiar
something
genre.
in-
Is it zombie? Is it zombie type? Is it?
It's got some zombie.
Yeah.
It's also it's sort of it's definitely a disease
Disease film. Disease
kind
horror
of
film.
action, or a disease horror film. She is the Typhoid Mary
Okay.
of this thing that spreads and makes everybody want to eat each other. So, but I also think that there's something to this to Marilyn Chambers casting, right?
Oh, so you're casting somebody that's
porn stars gone legit.
gone legit. Are there that many for a list?
That's not very
No.
well.
Well,
We've already talked about one in our illustrious career at the next reel. I'm not going to tell you which one that is because it sounds like you don't remember it. I've got 3 off the top of my head right now. What do you think of that?
Okay. All right. There's your list. See you next Saturday. Okay. We can go with that. You can keep it that specific. You can go a little bit broader if there's going to be 9 films that we need to pull together.
Okay.
But
How broad would you like it?
I don't know. Because I guess you have to, are we leveraging an actor's notoriety in another? Because I don't want it to be like athletes, because that's not the same thing. So we're getting, I guess I can't think of another way to narrow it down without it including other careers outside of film and TV. So, all right, porn gone legit.
You don't seem very, what's the word, excited about this, Steve.
I think it's going to be a struggle. There'll be a lot of
I think
steals.
it's going to be three movies repeated.
No.
I don't have an emoji for a 3-time steal.
You're going to have the 3-way steal.
Gonna have to invent a new. Okay, porn stars gone legit.
Yeah.
Next. So what was it you said just before? It was about
Zombies? It wasn't zombies.
Zombies?
Yeah, but disease stuff. Yeah.
The challenge is Andy and I have done a whole disease series.
I know. That's why I was.
It's like all steals.
Yeah. Well, so what genre? I mean, it's not. It's zombie. It's disease film. It's not.
Well,
totally
if we leverage
cannibalism.
I mean, they're like. Yeah, I was going to say cannibalism.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
It's We could. How about this? Patient Zero movies.
Oh, Patient Zero movies. Yes.
Right?
Yes, you said she's the Typhoid Mary. There you go.
Yep.
Patient Zero movies.
And it's funny because we actually used that word in describing Shivers, that there was this Typhoid Mary. And then in this movie, they actually use, hey, it's Typhoid Mary. They actually use it in the movie. Patient Zero movies. Okay. And number 3, I still think there's something about this medical procedures gone horribly awry.
Okay. Sure.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Good. Gone horribly awry.
Well, I see it's available on Canopy, so I have no excuse not to watch it at some point.
You have no excuse to watch this at some point. That is accurate.
Okay. All right. You guys are going to be patient
Well, and
zero.
they just get better. They just get better from here until next week. So then they get worse. And then they get better after that.
Okay.
How about that?
That works.
All
right.
Treat. So that's it. Everybody go watch Rabid. And I got no other news. You got anything else to say?
No. Thank you, Patreon supporters that are going to get this, a little early before it goes wide to the public.
They'll get it today as we talk about it.
Ray's getting it right now. He's getting it.
Ray's getting it right now.
And since he's like ahead in the time zone, I think between him and Nick, they actually get it before we record it. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Legit. And then, so if you are not a patron, you're listening to this in the main feed, then you could, if you visited patreon.com/thenextreel, you could become a patron and then you'd get it on Saturday, largely, when it is Saturday matinee.
Right. They could also chime in on some of these heated discussions about like Martin Scorsese or what makes film, or even guilty pleasures. There was a lot of discussion about what makes a film a guilty pleasure, and could always use a few more opinions weighing in on that debate.
Certainly could.
Yes.
Certainly could. Again, patreon.com/thenextreel. Thank you, everybody who's already supported. It helps us to continue to build and grow the show and keep coming back every week. That's the big help. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week.
Hondo.